For traditional method sparkling wines, the period between when the wine was bottled and when the wine was disgorged is commonly referred to as the lees aging time. And why do we care about lees aging time? Well, because it does tremendously positive things for the flavor of the wine, for the texture of the wine, for the complexity of wine, etc. It really is why traditional method is the highest quality means of producing sparkling wine. But what is being overlooked in thinking about it that way is a very important step that happens in between bottling and disgorging, and that is riddling. In other words, when the wine moved from being in a horizontal position to a vertical position, neck down. That accomplishes a practical thing of collecting the sediment in the neck, ready to be removed at disgorgement, but it also dramatically reduces the surface area of yeast in contact with the wine, and thereby effectively halting the lees development of the wine. For products that are routinely riddled and then disgorged shortly thereafter, maybe riddling date isn't so important because we can assume it's happened just shortly prior to disgorging. But for any long-aged wines or library release or late release, etc., riddling date becomes crucially important to the style of the wine. Do we need to know when the wine was riddled in order to enjoy it? No, absolutely not. Just like we don't need disgorgement date, we don't need bottling date, we don't need grape variety percentages or geology of the site or any of that stuff. Just taste it. But if you are interested in the nuances of the wine and use that information in order to enhance your sensory experience, then riddling date is a crucially important piece of information. So much so, actually, if we take bottling, riddling, and disgorging, if I had to get rid of one of them, I'd forget about the disgorgement date. Tell me when it was bottled, tell me when it was riddled, and I can know a lot, therefore, about how the wine was developed. To give an example, I recently poured a set of wines that had spent a 6-year interval between when they were bottled and when they were disgorged, but they were riddled at different times, one year apart. So there were 4 different riddling dates, 1 year apart within that 6-year window. And someone at the tasting who writes regularly about sparkling wines told me, without understanding the details of what he was tasting, he would have guessed that they were 4 different wines, not 4 versions of the same wine, but 4 distinct sparkling wines. And the only change in those 4 bottles was when the wine was riddled. So it's a really important piece of information that we ought to be talking more about.